Tuesday.
The whole class?
Not the whole class, just all the people. April 30th, last day of April. Tomorrow we get to move into May. Yesterday's quiz is up on Skyward. Unless you just got done taking it, then it would be kind of hard for it to be up there. It's not there because that would be impossible for me to travel through time. Tomorrow you finish out iLearn, and we'll have our last math test. I do not know what kind of math test it's going to be. I think it's a shorter one since today seemed to be really long. But regardless, it's your last iLearn because next year they're completely changing how iLearn works. So this is your last really long iLearn. Next year they're much, much shorter.
Are you going to look on the BBA?
I think so. That's what we've been told. So we'll see. And then my shirt today is actually from page 82. There was a couple years ago in my class, I got to this, and I'll read you the scene. And I thought it was funny, and I just sort of made a big deal about it. And then a kid went out and made me a shirt, so now I just wear the shirt because of her. But it was in the scene where Dally shows up, and the kids are in the church, and he shows up and gives the letter over to Ponyboy, and then this is what happens. "Shoot, kid," Dally grinned wolfishly. "Them boys at the station know me by now. I got hauled in for everything that happens in our turf. While I was there, I kind of let it slip that y'all were heading for Texas, so that's where they're looking." He took a drag on his cigarette and cussed it good-naturedly for not being a cool. Johnny listened in admiration. "You sure can cuss good, Dally." "Sure can," Dally agreed wholeheartedly, proud of his vocabulary. "But don't you kids get to picking up my bad habits." Anyway, I thought that whole line was kind of funny about the whole "you sure can cuss good," and I kind of went off on it. And so then a couple days later, a kid came in and was like, "I got you a shirt." And so now I have my "you sure can cuss good" shirt. Anyway, same schedule. So tomorrow you go from this class to second period, and then third, then not fourth again because you already had me once, fifth, sixth, and seventh. And then Thursday's normal class period. During Best on Thursday, you're meeting with whoever your group is for the day of service, so just keep that in mind. And then, Lily, if you don't sign up for something, I know they're going to put you somewhere so you have someplace to go. So we were told today that any kids not signed up, if they're not going to be here, then they're going to put you somewhere so you have someplace to be. So just figured I'd
Oh, and I didn't ask for all this. They said to just stay in your class.
There you go.
Sorry.
Landon.
My dad just texted me context gun.
Let's see, so we did book thing from there. We finished it out this week, so I have no one in here who has a late quiz. My other classes I did, so you guys are good to go on that one. So quiz-wise, overall, it wasn't bad. By the end of the day, we got the average grade up for all of my classes to like a 80%.
I got
In
89.
this class, it was like in the high 70s. I checked the questions at the end, and there were only 2 questions that were below 70%. This one at 59%, and then the next one. This one says, "Why does Johnny decide that he should turn himself in as the boys are driving back to the church from the Dairy Queen?" Daryl?
They want me to say the answer.
Sure.
It's because they think I'm pretty sure it's because he wants Ponyboy to go back to his family.
He does.
And he doesn't want
I forgot what the first part of it was. That's
The
what
fact that he says that the police are, where is that? He thinks it was self-defense, and he was like, Jerry's on our side, and all those guys said they were drunk, and it was self-defense anyway, so I have a good chance of getting off easy, and I don't think Ponyboy should be away from his family. And so that was as he went through that whole explanation.
Wait, can I calculate my grade on it real quick? If I stand up?
Sure. And then the other one, this one we really struggled on at 38%. But this one was because it required you to do some thinking, and that times make it a little bit tougher. As Dally talks with Johnny and Ponyboy on the drive back to the church, what is it that we discover would be the best definition of Dally's gold? Well, first off, in the poem, what does gold mean?
Like happy.
It means your happiness. So what brings Dally happiness?
Committing crimes.
His criminal.
And so that would be the first guess that people went with, was committing crimes. But in this scene on the drive back, he's not talking about what brings him happiness as crimes. He's talking about the fact that he wants Johnny to not turn out like him.
I got it right.
So in that scene, it turns out Johnny is the thing that brings him his joy and happiness, and the fact that normally, this is where I can see crimes and breaking the law is his joy, but in that particular scene, It was not. It was him all talking about him wanting Johnny to not follow that same path. And that's pretty much it. All the other questions you guys did fairly decently on.
That was kind of
The only ones that we sort of struggled for.
Yeah, that was a tricky one.
I agree. It required thinking, which
What
hurts
was it
people's heads.
tricky?
Here is my schedule for this week that I'm planning on doing with you guys. Today, we're going to sort of discuss and or start reading Chapter 9, sort of seeing how things go from there. Tomorrow, after you finish I Learn, read Chapter 9 going into Chapter 10, because I'm not planning on reading a whole lot with you tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm planning on doing more of a talky thing, because we're going to talk about a thing that happens with Johnny, we're going to talk about a thing that happens with Dally, we're going to talk about a thing that happens with Ponyboy, and so I'm going to spend tomorrow sort of talking about those. Thursday, we're going to talk about end of book. What happens at the end. We're going to talk about the very last sentence of the book and why that's important. We're going to talk about all those other things that go into it. So Thursday, I'm planning on just talking throughout the entire time. And then Friday, we have the test over the book. The 35 questions, and it should cover the whole thing and wrap it up. And then Monday, we begin our last thing with you, and we'll get to our final book of the year. What's up?
Is the book the Gospel according to Larry?
No. It's called That Was Then, This Is Now. It's the sequel to The Outsiders.
Oh.
Picks up like 2 years later and sort of talks about what happens and stuff like that. So at this point, you don't have to wait for me to read. You're more than welcome to read bits on your own. Out of curiosity, has anyone finished book?
I'm little sorry.
Right. Has anyone finished Chapter 9 where it gets into the big rumble? Alright. So that gave me an idea of where to start with you guys. I had a class earlier today ask me why we have not been doing like our class discussions. And the reason is I can't do a class discussion because I have to use all my class time to read. So it's one of those things where we only have so much time, and because I use my class time to read to you guys, it sort of sacrifices our discussion-y time. Like if this next book we get into, if you guys spend more time reading on your own, that frees me up more days that I can do things like class discussion. But because I spend more reading time with you, we don't get as much discussion-y time. Hi, Daryl again.
Can I get that book? Because I have nothing to do.
Which book?
That was then, this is now.
Yes, on Monday. So you'll have to wait till then. So if not, you'll just end up reading it ahead also. There's other books you can read. I have like a whole bunch of them over here you can pick from if you want. So then I don't have to worry about this, so we're going to get to, I will start reading Chapter 9 with you guys here in just a moment. So the questions will be, what question does Ponyboy ask all of his friends before the Rumble, which we'll get to? Who starts the Rumble for the Socias, and what connections that person have? And what happens to Pony and Dally on their way to the hospital? Because Pony and Dally are going to head to the hospital, and we're going to find out something happens to them. But I guess we'll just get a chance to read it with you guys, and I'll try to help you out a bit more. Hi again, Daryl.
Take your book for sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Let's see, page 1. There we go. It was almost 6:30 when I got home. The Rumble was set for 7, so I was late for supper, as usual. I always come in late, and I forget what time it is. Derry had cooked dinner, baked chicken, potatoes, corn, 2 chickens, because all 3 of us eat like horses, especially Derry, but although I love baked chicken, I can hardly swallow any. I swallowed 5 aspirins, though, when Derry and soda weren't looking. And I do that all the time because I can't sleep very well at night. Derry thinks I take just 1, but I usually take 4. Now I figured 5 would keep me going to the Rumble and maybe get rid of my headache. By the way, I do not suggest you guys take that many aspirin. It is not good for your system. You should at the most take like 2, sometimes 3. Beyond that, it can like do damage to your liver and not be healthy.
Whoa.
Then I hurried to take a shower and change clothes. Me and Soda and Derry always got spruced up before a Rumble. And besides, we wanted to show those Socias we weren't trashed, that we were just as good as they were. Hey, Soda, I called from the bathroom. When did you start shaving? When I was 15. When did Derry? When he was 13. Why? Are you figuring on growing a beard for the Rumble? You're funny. We ought to send you into the Reader's Digest. I hear they pay a lot for funny things. Quick question. Do you guys know what the Reader's Digest is?
It's like
How
a
well
paper.
they can process the reading, I don't know. Is that a good guess?
It is a magazine. And so it's one that you'll probably find like your grandparents' house. It's from way back in the day. But there was a section of it where you could send in like stories that you thought were funny, and they would publish them with your name. And so it was like an early version of like social media where you'd feel like you were famous if you sent it in and got published. And they would have like Mr. Brovicast tells a story about his classroom and stuff like that.
Well, that's
So
cool.
that's the Reader's Digest. They still exist. You can still find them. It's
You have
just
to be old though, right?
yeah, only old people read them.
You can probably find them in the
Soda laughed and then went right on. Oh, I have a picture of them playing poker.
This is not them playing poker, bro.
I typed into Google little kids playing poker, and this was the best picture I could come up
Such
with.
a scene where they were doing it.
So I felt like I was pretty good on that one. Soda laughed and went right on playing poker with Steve in the living room. Derry had on a tight black t-shirt that showed every muscle on his chest and even the flat, hard muscles of his stomach. I'd hate to be the Soch who takes a crack at him, and I thought as I pulled on a clean t-shirt and a fresh pair of jeans. I wished my t-shirt was tighter. I've got a pretty good build for my size, but I'd lost a lot of weight in Windrixville. It just didn't fit right. It was a chilly night, and t-shirts aren't the warmest clothes in the world, but nobody ever gets cold in a rumble. Besides, jackets interfere with your swinging ability. Soda and Steve and I had put on more hair oil than was necessary, but we wanted to show that we were greasers. Tonight, we could be proud of it. Greasers may not have much. You guys know what a rep is? That had long hair. What kind of world is it where all I have to be proud of is a reputation for being a hood and greasy hair? I don't want to be a hood, but even if I don't steal things and mug people and get boozed up, I'm marked lousy. Why shouldn't I be proud of it? Why should I even pretend to be proud of it? Derry never went in for the long hair. His was short and clean all the time. I sat in the armchair in the living room, waiting for the rest of the outfit to show up. But of course, tonight, the only one coming would be Cougar. Johnny and Dallas wouldn't show. Soda and Steve were already playing cards and arguing as usual. Soda was keeping up a steady stream of wisecracks and clowning, and Steve had turned up the radio so loud it almost broke my eardrums. I mean, of course, everybody listens to it loud like that, but it wasn't just the best thing for a headache. Hey, you like fights, don't you, Soda? Yeah, sure. He shrugged. I like fights. How come? I don't know. He looked at me, puzzled. It's action. It's a contest, like a drag race or a dance or something. Shoot, said Steve. I just want to beat them Soch's heads in. When I get in a fight, I want to stomp the other guy good. Kind of like it too. How come you like fights, Derry? I asked, looking up at him as he stood behind me, leaning in the kitchen doorway. He gave me one of those looks that hide what he's thinking, but Soda piped up. He likes to show off his muscles. And I'm going to show them off on you, little buddy, if you get any mouthier. I digested what Soda said. It was the truth. Derry liked anything that took strength, like weightlifting or playing football or roofing houses, even if he was proud of being smart too. Derry never said anything about it, but I knew he liked fights. I felt out of things. I mean, I'll fight anyone, anytime, but I don't like to. I don't know if you ought to be in this rumble, Pony, Derry said slowly. Oh no, I thought in mortal fear. I've got to be in it. Right then, the most important thing in my life was helping us whip the Sochas. Don't let him make me stay home now. I've got to be in it. How come? I've always come through before, ain't I? Yeah, Derry said with a proud grin. You fight real good for a kid your size. But you were in shape before. Oh, you've lost weight. You don't look so good. You're tensed up too much. Shoot, said Soda, trying to get the ace out of his shoe without Steve seeing him. We all get tensed up before a rumble. Man, let them fight tonight. Skin never hurt anyone. No weapons, no danger. I'll be okay, I pleaded. I'll get hold of a little one, all right? By the way, if you guys ever get into a fight here at school, I think you should just quote The Outsiders when you get called into Mr. Butts' office. And just be like, hey, it's okay if I fight. Skin never hurt anyone. No weapons, no danger. Back off, Mr. Butts. Just let me know how that goes. You just bring the book with you as like your proof. You'll get out of jail free.
Yeah, it was like a couple months ago when those two girls were fighting.
Yeah. I said the same thing. I said, Mr. Butts, we're all good. No skin. Skin, no weapons. We're fine. I'll be okay, I pleaded. I'll get hold of the little one, okay? Well, Johnny won't be there this time. Johnny and I sometimes ganged up on one big guy. But then Curly Shepherd won't be there either. Or Dally. We're going to need every man we can get. Wait, what happened to Shepherd? So we talked about Tim Shepherd, who was in the picture. The guy had like a cut on his face. Was also the one that was looking for Dally way back in like chapter 2 at the movie theater because he slashed his car tires. Curly Shepherd is going to be Dally's younger brother. So that's what they're talking about here. So what happened to Shepherd? I asked, remembering Tim Shepherd's kid brother Curly, who was a tough, cool, hard as nails Tim in miniature. He and I had once played chicken by holding our cigarette ends against each other's fingers. You guys know what playing chicken is?
Oh,
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, to see which kid's going to whisk out first. So they took a lit cigarette and they just sort of pushed it out their fingers and they pushed it against the end of each other's fingers to see who would say, like, I quit first. We had stood there, clenching our teeth and grimacing with sweat pouring down our faces and the smell of burning flesh making us sick, each refusing to holler until Tim happened to stroll by. When he saw that we were really burning holes in each other, he cracked our heads together, swearing to kill us both if we ever pulled a stunt like that again. I still have the scar on my forefinger. Curly was an average downtown hood. Tough, not real bright, but I liked him. He could take anything. He's also one of the main characters in the sequel next week. He's in the cooler, Steve said, kicking an ace out of Soda's shoe. In the reformatory? Again? I thought. Let me fight, Derry. If it was blades or chains or something, it'd be different. But nobody ever gets really hurt in a skin rumble. See, Mr. Butts? Well, Derry gave in. I guess you can, but be careful. And if you get in a jam, holler, and I'll get you out. I'll be okay. How come you never worry about Soda Pop as much? I don't see you lecturing him. Man, Derry grinned and put his arm across Soda's shoulders. This is one kid, brother, I don't have to worry about. Soda punched him in the ribs affectionately. This kiddo can use his head. Soda Pop looked down at me with mock superiority. But Derry went on. And you can see, he uses it for one thing. Only to grow hair on. He ducked Soda's swing and took off for the door. Two-Bit stuck his head in the door just as Derry went flying out of it, leaping as he went off the steps. Derry turned a somersault in midair, hit the ground, and then bounced up before Soda could catch him. Well up, Two-Bit said cheerfully, cocking an eyebrow. I see we're in prime condition for a rumble. Everybody happy? Yeah! Screamed Soda as he too did a flying somersault off the steps. He flipped up to walk on his hands and then did a no-hands cartwheel across the yard to beat Derry's performance. The excitement was catching. Screeching like an Indian, Steve went running across.
What?
This was written a little before PC times, but yes. Screeching like an indigenous Native American, Steve went running across the lawn and flying leaps, stopped suddenly, and then flipped backward. We could all do acrobatics because Derry had taken a course at the Y and then spent a whole summer teaching us everything he learned on the grounds that it might come in handy in a fight. It did, but it also got Two-Bit and Soda jailed once. They were doing mid-air flips down a downtown sidewalk, walking on their hands and otherwise disturbing the public and the police. Even to those two to pull something like that. Do you guys know what he means when he says the Y?
The ones.
Yeah, the YMCA.
What are you doing?
He did the lion.
I don't know what I said.
With a happy, it was from, Camp Tecumseh. With a happy whoop, I did a no-hands cartwheel off the porch steps, hit the ground, and rolled to my feet. Two-Bit followed me in a similar manner. I am a greaser, Soda Pop chanted. I am a JD and a hood. I blacken the name of our fair city. I beat up people. I rob gas stations. I am a menace to society. Man, do I have fun! Greaser, 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 Steve sing-songed. Oh, victim of environment, underprivileged, rotten, no-count hood, juvenile delinquent. What, you guys don't sing before you go get into a big rumble? I'm pretty sure this is pretty common. Anytime people are getting ready to beat the crap out of each other, you got to break into song. I've seen Disney movies. I don't know. It's kind of a weird part in the book. Juvenile delinquent, you're no good, Derry shouted. Get thee hence, white trash, Two-Bit said in a snobbish voice. I am a Soc. I am the privileged and the well-dressed. I throw beer blasts, drive fancy cars, and break windows at fancy parties. What do you do for fun? I inquired in a serious voice. I jump racers! Two-Bit screamed and did a cartwheel. We settled down as we walked to the lot. Two-Bit was the only one wearing a jacket, and he had a couple of cans of beer stuffed into it. There we stop on 136, because the next part is the rumble, where we get to the throwdown fight, and we're going to get to our next guest.
Who dares to copy my
Oh,
flow?
you're almost done.
Who dares to copy our flow?